Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Daily Arsenal podcast, brought to you as part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. Today it is the Monday review game, and yet again, after an initially bubbly entrance, my voice is going to slowly quieten down a little bit because 2-2 against Aston Villa at home, not the best result. I'm your host today, Joshua Vince. I'm joined today by Craig Matthews and Joshua Duncan. Craig, I mean, you were just saying it a second ago, disappointing, right?
Yeah, 2-0 up at home and draw 2-2 is embarrassing at home. Not good enough.
No.
Just we try for the title. Not good enough.
Well, as our esteemed member Matt said recently, we've got to stop talking about the title race until we knock 7 wins in a row. And so we can't talk about a title race at the moment. We agreed to it, and there's definitely not one on at the moment. Josh, I mean, it just... Craig said it to me before the game started. Arsenal seem to be the gift that keep on giving at the moment, don't they?
Yeah. If you're an Arsenal fan, if you're a Liverpool fan, you're pretty laughing at us. That's a good result for them, bad result for us. I'm disappointed. But at the same time, we've got a lot of issues going on at our club at the moment, and I think the whole title picture. Just forget. I had to forget about it at the start of the season. So. Yeah.
I think I agreed with you, and I still do now. There's no point mentioning any silverware in terms of the Premier League currently. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the game bit by bit. I have to admit that I didn't watch it live. I was rehearsing a play, so I wasn't able to watch it. I caught the last 10 minutes of it on the radio, and that was the worst decision I made that day. Listening to those 10 minutes, just being like, oh God, they've done it again. They've done it again. So starting off, Martinelli got on the score sheet just about, Craig, just about bundled it over, didn't he?
It was a good movement from them. The defender made a mistake, capitalized off the error, scored a good goal, good assist from Trossard. So they moved. We thought we'd see more, and then then we scored the second goal. I thought comfortable 2-0 lead. Then it went down. Then we capitulated after that. Literally,
Do you think playing on the right is suiting Martinelli at the moment?
I think so. I honestly think he's sitting on the right hand side. I think he's more cutting more, he's crossing more with his right foot now. But he's put some dangerous balls in yesterday as well. But we don't have a striker who can gamble or a poacher.
Well,
Who can
Craig,
poach from the
you
back of the
say we
net.
don't have a striker who can gamble or finish, but Josh Duncan, that man came a cropper for Arsenal. A volleyed finish, giving Arsenal a 2-0 lead. King Kai himself. What did you make of Kai's goal? Set up. Look, I'm going to admit that Trossard had a pretty good game, and I can't stand Trossard, but he did pretty well. King Kai got the second. I will admit it was straight at Martinez.
This is what I mean about Havertz, This is what I mean about him. And this is what I don't know. He clouds Arsenal fans' judgment because he scores goals like this where the keeper should have done better, or it got a lucky deflection, or he's offside and offside position, but he timed his run wrong, but he still did the goal, or it hits on the defender and it goes in.
hmm
He's not. He's not a finisher. You can see he's not a finisher. I'm not even gonna. You know what it is, yeah. I'm not even gonna cuss him anymore. I'm not even gonna say nothing bad about him. It's not his fault. It's not his fault he's playing there. He's doing his best he can do, right? But I do not want to see this guy at number 9 anymore. I don't want to see him anymore because he's just. If you're going for the title, he's not he's the reason why Chelsea got rid of him playing number 9, right?
Yeah.
And we got him here, and he played a bit better on Arteta. I'll give him that, but he's not. He's not going to get you 20 goals in the season in the league.
No.
Maybe overall, but not in the league.
I think what you said there is perfectly fair. I think because realistically, he does actually do a job for the team beyond being a number 9. Like his pressing is good. His pressing's pretty good. He can be a nuisance, but he shouldn't be in that position. That isn't what he is. He's not a 9. You're right, and he's never going to be a title-winning number 9. And as long as Arteta continues with that thought, I mean, apparently the reason we didn't get Sesko, I think you said it the other day, is because he said Havertz will be starting ahead of you. Which is madness, because Havertz is not a goal scorer. Sesko is. So he's kind of shot himself at the foot there, and I do actually agree with you on that. Yeah, don't worry, Josh. Sometimes the Josh has got to stick together, bro. You know, sometimes. Now, Craig, Villa then out of nowhere started a comeback with a Tielemans goal. Came completely against the flow of play. A ball floated into the box. Marino made a right hash of tracking his run, and Tielemans just got ahead of him and managed to poke it into the net. I mean, at the back, there were moments where we looked really shoddy in this game, didn't we?
100%. I'll say poor defending from Marino for the goal. If he marks him out properly, there's no way. Look how tall Marino, look at the size of Tillemans. And Tillemans wanted it more. That's why he scored the header. If Marino was ready to fuck his head out or do something, put a foot in or something, he'd have prevented that goal. But it all comes from the press though, from when Luca Dean had the ball. No one didn't press him for that cross. Someone pressed him for that cross and made him force them to go backwards. Then that goal would have been avoidable. But I can't change it now anyway. It is what it is, isn't it? So
It is what
yeah.
it is. Yeah, that's the saddest sort of conjecture that you could argue. It is what it is, and what it was as well, Josh. Not long after that, Villa got their tails up, and Watkins got a second. Now, what I'll say was, it was a beautiful ball to the back post from Villa. Like the ball into the box was stunning. Watkins with a good first time finish, but Partey did not track him at all. Again, the defending just didn't seem to be switched on.
Yeah, I think with Partey, and even in the first goal as well, I think he could have got a bit tighter for the cross, maybe. But he's not right back. You know what I
No.
mean? He's not. It's. I think we've all said it now on this podcast, and everyone that supports Arsenal, we don't want to see Thomas Partey playing right back. He's just, for him, he's a midfielder, and he's good. When he plays there on his day, he's pretty decent. I'm not going to lash into him too much, even though he's a professional football player, and I think you should, track him. Your runner is just a thing, yeah,
Yeah.
every bread and butter, really. But yeah, it wasn't good defending.
No, it wasn't great, and like I think it's easy for us at the moment with the form being so up and down to really hammer at these players, but sometimes the game's just against you, and it certainly was, Craig, when Marino scored a winner, or the winner that never was, because it was adjudged that Havertz's hand had come into contact with the ball and had caused the deflection. Now, I don't know about you. I don't think much of his hand touched the ball. What do you think?
I agree with you. I don't think it hit his
Yeah.
hand. I don't think it hit his hand. I think it brushed like the side of him and it went in. But they never when they VAR, normally VAR they have a long review. There's a very short review on the VAR, so I don't think they really checked it properly. I think if the ref had gone to the video monitor in the stadium and checked it properly, I think it would have given him a goal. But they're very quick to say, "Oh no, handball, no goal."
Yeah,
If that
because
was
I was
against, if
go
that was
on.
against Arsenal, I think that they'd have given that goal.
Because I was listening on the radio at that point, and it did seem rapid. I mean, Josh, what did you make of it? Because it was kind of like it was the last, apart from like Marino hitting the post late on, and then Trossard's shot being saved by Martinez very quickly. It was the last big chance of the game, really, wasn't it? It was the moment that could have been Arsenal's salvation. What did you make of the whole handball?
Um, I saw when I first saw it, I was just like, nah, I don't think that's handball. I think it's a bit harsh. And like what Craig said, they made a decision very quickly on it. So
Mm,
unless the rules has changed from what I know, because even his body doesn't his hand's that close to him anyway.
yeah.
So he's not like his hand's out there. His hand's out there, then I'll say yeah, penalty. It's a no goal. But yeah, there's not much he can really do. I think he did try to get out of the way as well of
Mm.
the shot. So I'm a bit confused why it didn't really stand.
The letter of the law seems to be in an unnatural position. That's kind of what they say, isn't it? I think for
Yeah,
handball, like you say, you can see it. It definitely made contact with his hip, and he was bending his body to try and avoid the ball, and he tries to tuck his hand in. That's
yeah.
when it brushes it, and I think the deflection more comes off of his hip. His hand does make contact, but to say that that's an unnatural position, I have to agree with both of you. I think it was harsh, but Craig, that's not why we lost the game, is it? We didn't
No,
lose the game because of that moment.
no, it didn't. We just didn't defend, but properly as a team. I think we got too excited and went 2-0 up. Normally, teams we got 2-0 up, we're going to get the third and fourth goal. I think we were too lackadaisy in defense, too not cynical enough up front. Um, Overall. if you wanna even up both half, we were better in the first half and Aston Villa were better in the second half. That's how the game changed. It was a game on two halves. We've seen it all season. The season that when we've gone 1-0 up, like against Brighton a couple of weeks ago, we went 1-0 up, didn't get a second or third goal. The second half became stronger, became better, and they got the second goal. They got the goal to make it 1-1, the penalty to make it 1-1. There's a lot of games this season when we've gone 1-0 up, like Liverpool game as well, like at home when we've beaten battering Liverpool at home, and then we can see the goals and the confidence has dropped out of the team, and then they got the last minute equaliser. So it's been the story of our season so far.
It does.
Yeah.
It's been a rough. It's been. I think it's probably been one of the most interesting Premier League seasons I've ever watched. But it's been a rough one as well. It's not been the nicest. So that was the majority of the game. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about a deeper analysis of the game. And I want to come back and ask Josh straight away, what is missing? So we'll be back just after this message. Here at Global Sports Podcast Network, we spend a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr. And welcome back to the Daily Arsenal podcast. We are reviewing our 2-2 draw with Aston Villa at the weekend on Saturday. Josh, I mentioned before the break, I'm going to come to you with a question. What, at the moment, at Arsenal is really missing? Because everyone's talked about it being a striker. We need a striker. Then again, we have such reliance on the likes of Saliba and Saka as well. You could see Saliba being out the team had a massive impact on the way it defended, and it brings Partey into a right-back position. Saka, we've still not really been able to replicate that energy. Or is there a deeper issue at Arsenal in the moment, like Craig alluded to in his last answer, where there's a real confidence problem in the team? What do you think is missing at Arsenal at the moment to make us proper title challengers?
I think it's pretty simple, and I've been saying from the start of the season, squad depth. You need to have squad depth, and we just don't have it, and it shows. All right, defensively, we've been a bit unlucky. I think we've got at least the rights had 3 or 4 injured. That whole Tommy Hassey's been injured. Ben White, no one saw the Ben White one, and Saliba, he's been injured now. So that you can say it. All right, that's unlucky, but the attacking wise, we should have sorted that problem a long time ago. I said it from like 2 seasons ago. We need squad depth. Squad depth. Look at City's team. City, their second team can easily be Arsenal's first team on their day. And that's why they've won back-to-back titles. I'm not going to say this season. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the Chargers with them. I don't know. But I think it's squad depth, and but also as well, I don't think the goals that we're conceding, I think, especially the Villa game, I think with just moments in the game, we just switched off.
Yeah.
And Villa just they just took us apart then. And I think it shows in Premier League, you can't switch off in games. You need to be, especially playing for the title, you need every moment counts.
I think that's such a good point, because the competitiveness of the Premier League is at a level that we've never seen before, is it?
Yeah. It's probably the best league in the world.
There were probably a couple of seasons ago where you could argue it's slipped a bit, it's a bit too predictable, it's a bit naive. But I think this season's really proven that it is comfortably the best team in the league in the world. I am so tired, boys. My mind is gone. But Craig, picking up on a point that Josh made, and I think it's a really, really important one. Squad depth is a real problem that we have, and I was listening on the radio is really interesting, because you get a slightly different vibe than you would get watching the TV. And they were talking about Arsenal's bench in that game, and especially in the defensive positions. And they said, who can you bring on to really change the front at this point in time? And all they said was Raheem Sterling, and that didn't really inspire much confidence, really. I mean, Josh is laughing now. I mean, that was our opportunity to inspire an offensive change. Like, where do we, because obviously we bought so many defensive players, and Josh is right, injury wise we've had a nightmare. Like, we've got a squad full of defenders, but there's only 3 of them fit. So do you think that focusing on a starting attacking player is more important, or focusing on building more depth which can be impactful is more important?
I'll say a bit of both. Building depth and have a strong bench where you can rotate. Say some games have a start, some games another striker starts. You want to bring in players that are going to replace the first team players. made a bit look at like City, for example, they've got 100 million Grealish on the bench. Hardly plays for them, but he's £100 million player. He's won Champions League, Premier League titles. He's won a lot of stuff. You want to have the manager have a headache every game picking the squad, not picking the same players every single week. Because they know some players in that team know they're going to start every week. You need some games where when the manager surprises the squad and says, you know what, you're not starting today, you're going to start. Kind of switch it up because I think when you do Premier League prediction, that everyone knows what team's going to start for Arsenal every week. Because we have the same, you know, it's going to be Gabriel Saliba every week. You know, if Timber's fit, it's going to be Timber, and maybe if Ben White's fit, it's going to be Ben White. It's never a situation where you think, oh, maybe Calafiori might start today, or maybe Tomiyasu, if it will start ahead of this player. So it's too predictable when it comes to our starting 11 and our selection of squad. So it'd be good if we can get a stronger bench and just a stronger team, and maybe a better centre forward as well, I would say.
To be honest, I actually think that possibly getting a stronger bench would be the priority over a striker, because just to have that versatility and get goals from elsewhere. Josh, there's a question I wanted to ask you. We did the Villa crossover last week. Fortunately, you weren't able to make it that day, but they asked a really interesting question, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion on it. Is this season not winning a trophy a disaster for Arsenal because of the progress that we've made? And is Arteta in trouble if we don't win any silverware this year?
No, I don't think so. I think Arsenal. I think even this season as well. I think Arteta's he's going above his weight. I think with this Arsenal team as well. I've got to be honest. I don't feel this team can win a Premier League how it is now. You know, and the job that he's done from when we all finished in fifth, and when we had Emery there when he took over. I think he's done a good job. I know some Arsenal fans are a bit frustrated, and they don't understand. We spent 700 million. Why am I not winning titles? Okay, maybe you can argue some of the money could have been spent in different areas, but we could argue about a lot of things. If I was a millionaire, you know what I mean? We've got now, and I think Arteta is doing the best he can out of this team. I mean, we're still second, and you got to think about it. We're still second. Title race is pretty much over. You never know. Liverpool might drop a few points. I mean, if we're still in Champions League, I mean, you just need to get number 9 in, get a few signings in, and maybe they can go for the title. But I think Arteta's doing a decent job, to be fair.
What I said to them was that we're still ahead of schedule. Like, we were so far ahead of schedule when we finished second 2 years ago. Yeah. But I think people forget that. And I think those Arsenal fans who are calling for Arteta's head are the ones who say, oh, we finished second twice. How aren't we won? How haven't we won yet? Because we shouldn't be here at the moment anyway. The turnaround has been so rapid and so sudden that I think the team still hasn't probably quite gotten used to it yet. To end this section on a slightly more positive note, I mean, 2-2 realistically against Aston Villa. At home, disappointing, yes. But Villa are a very good side. Taking a point against them, you can probably take in any other season. But Craig, there has been one player who has been a constant source of light in these dark times. Miles Lewis Skelly continues to impress, doesn't he? He's been remarkable so far, MLS.
I think he's shown up a lot of the veteran players in the team. Like, he can't with no fear. He's been playing like he's a veteran. He's been playing for years. It's good to see that the academy is getting these young players from the academy doing good things, like him and Skelly, Ethan Wanieri, and a couple of others in the academy. See that these guys are getting opportunities to play, and hopefully they get their chance as well. One thing I'll say about young players coming to Arsenal's team now, once you get opportunity, you have to take it with both hands, because if you don't, you get replaced. Arsenal go and buy a 30 million pound player, and then you end up being got on loan or end up being sold. So it's good to see that it's taken opportunity. I know we bought Calafiori in the summer. Calafiori was to be our number 1 starter this season, but his injury record has been horrendous this season, to be fair. And I think Skelly stepped up more than stepped up in big game situations. Tottenham away, Man City away this season, Liverpool at home against Aston Villa, Tottenham at home last week. So he's really stepping up every game he plays now. So you have to give him credit where credit's due.
Yeah, he's been probably the big surprise of our season so far. I mean, Josh, He's keeping Kieran Tierney out of the team. Admittedly, not the biggest prize in the world. Zinchenko can't seem to get a sniff of the first team. I mean, he's been in and out of injury, but he's keeping Zinchenko out. Arguably, he could. Would you say that he keeps Calafiori out of the team at the moment when Calafiori's fit?
To be honest, when I've seen him, I think he's more comfortable Calafiori than playing in that left back role that I've seen so far this season. I don't know if Calafiori, not to say he's had a bad season, but I think
No,
maybe
yeah.
he's not been probably fit, or probably still got niggles in his injuries. Yeah, I think he's done really well. He should be very proud of himself. But I think what Arsenal fans do, and England fans as well, we put too much pressure on these young guys, and then just let them learn their crafts, let them understand, let them just don't put too much pressure on them. Like, give praise what it's due, but
Yeah.
he's one of the ones where, like, let's just say he doesn't kick on now. People just say, well, why has he kicked on? He was so amazing when he was young. I think just let the boy settle in. He hasn't had a full season of football yet.
No.
Anything can really happen. The next couple of games, he could have a disaster. And then, how as Arsenal fans, I think the same happened with Bellerin. Bellerin came into the team with a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
He came, I think he replaced a Debussy, I think.
Debussy was injured
Yeah,
and Bellerin came in and
yeah.
stepped up. Yeah.
And now, if you ask me, Bellerin, what is he doing now? He's probably a model now. I don't know.
Yes, I think he has a very big clothing line. I think that's what it is at the moment. Because I was listening to another podcast, a very, an enemy podcast, we shan't name them, with a certain Micah Richards in it. And he was saying, oh yeah, he should be playing for England. And it's just like, slow down. He's played about 10 games for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Look after the boy first, okay? Let him play in the under-21s, under-23s World Cup, whatever you want to do with all that, but ease him in. Don't push him too hard.
Yeah.
Right, I think that'll do for part two. We're going to take another little break, and when we come back, we're just going to look around the rest of the Premier League because there were some lovely results to talk about. We might be in a bad mood after our result, but goodness me, some results, especially we're recording this on Sunday, especially some of today's results were beautiful. So we'll be back just after this break. This podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football, and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. Global Sports Podcast Network. Every club, every day. And welcome back to the Daily Arsenal podcast. It's the final part of our Monday review, and there was a lot of action this week. Now, we're just going to get started. We're going to peel off the rubbish Band-Aid first. Craig, City spanked Ipswich 6-0. I watched a little bit of the game. It's the only football I've actually watched all weekend while I was prepping this show. It's the only time I've had. I mean, Man City look as though they're starting to get back to their fullest, don't they, at the moment?
They're back in form. The only blip was the Brentford game the other day, the 2-2 draw. But apart from that, ever since the last game they lost, they were winning ever since. I think they're gonna climb up the table very rapidly and fast. Like they're looking back in good form. And they're brought in some new players as well coming in as well. So they look like they're going to be a force to be reckoned with for this rest of the season, and maybe Guardiola's going to wheel out some of the old heads and bring in some younger talent in the summer. So watch this place. They're going to be City. They're going to be back.
Do you know what's really annoying? I bet they're going to finish second. I've got a feeling they're going to bloody finish second. So that's the crap bit done with. Now, Josh, rubbing hands together time. The early kickoff today was at Goodison Park, and Everton hosted our good friends Tottenham Hotspur. Now, I just had a feeling in my bones. I put it on my live. Do you do the live score predictor game?
Sometimes.
So at work, there's three of us. We always do it, and we sort of have a competition to see who gets closest. All of us thought that Everton were going to win 1-0. The final score was 3-2. I mean, it's not been the perfect season for Arsenal, but my God, it's been awful for them, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, same old story with Tottenham. They're just easy to play against, They just leak goals. I think that's the 16 goals they've conceded in what, the last 5 games, something like that. Something ridiculous. You can't, at this level, you can't be doing that. Surely he has to go. Like Monday morning, there's no way if he's in a job here, I don't know who handles his contract or his agent, but he's a lucky. I can't even swear. He's a lucky guy.
Like,
Let him stay. Let him stay. He's
let's.
doing a
Oh
good
yeah,
job.
we want him to stay, but there's no chance he will. I've literally, Josh, I got in my notes. Everton beat Spurs 3-2. Surely he has to go. I've literally got that in my notes for this episode. And do you know what I've really enjoyed about Spurs in the last couple of weeks? I don't know if you've been watching Ange Postecoglou's post-match interviews.
Yeah.
It's the head down, refuses to look at the camera, and just, yeah, we weren't really good enough today. You're actually taking the mick a little bit with your questions here. I don't think that's very fair to say that we didn't play very well, but no, it was unacceptable. Quite frankly, the result was unacceptable, and we didn't play well enough at all. He's such a mopey bugger, isn't he?
I
He's
mean,
such a bad loser.
he's a Tottenham manager. Of course he would be.
Of course he would
To
be.
be
Yeah.
fair, they have got a lot of injuries though. That's
They
probably
do.
what's keeping him in the job so far. I mean, again, I wouldn't want to have Arteta's job or Postecoglou's job. Just
Yeah.
all the injury problems. It's a
I mean,
nightmare.
what their back two is Archie Gray, who's 18, and Dragazin, who's not very
Yeah.
good, and a brand new keeper because their other three keepers are all injured. Like
Yeah.
they've had a rough ride of injuries, but we can still laugh at them. It's fine. Now, Craig, there was another great result as well today at Old Trafford. I saw people. I left my rehearsals around about. So it started. I think the game started at 2:30. I left my
Yeah.
rehearsals about sort of 5-ish today. I saw
Yeah.
people who were in town in Manchester United shirts looking very sad. It's half an hour to get from Old Trafford to where I was. They had left early. They lost 3-1 against Brighton. I mean, my word. It's if Arsenal's the gift that keeps on giving, Spurs and United are even more so, right?
It's the theatre of nightmares, not the theatre of dreams at the moment for United. The theatre of nightmares. That, their roof is always leaking. Oh man, I don't feel
That
sorry for them. I
no,
don't.
no.
Let the misery continue, please.
Did you hear what Amorim said, by the way, after the game?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I did.
I've got, here, Craig, listen to this, right? Josh knows what's coming, but listen to this. This is from Ruben Amorim, the Manchester United manager, by the way. We are the worst team, maybe, in the history of Manchester United. I know you want headlines, but I am saying that because we have to acknowledge that and change that. Here you go, your headlines. Their manager said they are the worst team in Man U's history. I mean, Craig,
Mm.
if you were playing for them, how crap would that make you feel?
I'll retire from football straight away. I'm done. I can't do it anymore.
I,
No, but on a serious note, they're like, are they the worst Man United team in history? There must be worse Man United teams than that.
I mean, they've
I don't
been
know.
relegated before. So,
Yeah, but it can't be that bad. I know they're really near the bottom of the table. I think they're like what 17th, 18th, or 16th, 17th,
well,
somewhere like that on the table
14th
there.
now.
14th.
let's tell you what, we're coming towards the end of the episode. Let's have a little look, shall we? So, the table as it stands, Liverpool are first still with 50 points. They've also got a game in hand. So, if they beat Everton in that game in hand, they could be 9 points ahead of us. Like Josh said, we're not talking about a total race. They're quite comfortable. We're currently level on points with Nottingham Forest, by the way. Like, Josh, I don't know what you did at the beginning of the season when you picked out Chris Wood in particular as someone to. You did it definitely in jest as someone to laugh at, but my God, your words have inspired the man because he's been incredible.
It is. I didn't even say it to take the mickey out of him.
Mm.
I think he's better than Havertz. I've always thought he's better than Havertz. If you're gonna put a big man up front and you want to play that sort of football, Chris was a guy. He's done it for years in the Premier League. All right, he's not been prolific goal scorer like he's done this season, but he's a better finisher than them. Yeah, then I'm Forest. I mean, if you're a Forest fan, you're in dreamland right by now.
Oh,
You probably go to bed
absolutely.
comfortably. No worries at all.
It's, do you know, I actually really enjoy it. I really enjoy it when these teams who should be really languishing at the bottom have such brilliant runs. And the
Yeah,
fact that we're 22 games in and they're still third means that it's not
yeah,
a fluke. It's one
yeah.
of those.
Have you
Yeah,
seen them? Have you watched their games? They're quite entertaining.
they're
They
good.
actually play football. They're better than us.
they're more aggressive than us, aren't they? Let's be honest. And Craig makes a good point. Manchester City on a push. They're fourth now, Man City, after their crisis. They're up to fourth. Newcastle in fifth. Chelsea in sixth, who have been a little bit in and out of sorts recently. I think they're playing. They're playing tomorrow, I think, aren't they?
They're playing Wolves away. They're playing Wolves.
That's
Wolves
it. Yeah,
away.
Wolves away.
Yeah.
Which is incidentally our next game as well, actually. So it'll be interesting to see how Wolves do against Chelsea. Mid-table looks about what you'd expect. Bournemouth, Villa, Brighton, Fulham, Brentford, Palace. Then we hit 13th place, Manchester United, with 26 points. Now, if this was a normal Premier League season, they would not be safe from relegation. They've not gotten even near that 40-point mark yet. They've only just gone over it. So they would be prime relegation meat if we didn't have the Southamptons of the team. Then under them, West Ham in 14th, who under Graham Potter don't look much better than he did under Lopetegui. But then Spurs in 15th place with 24 points. They're 8 points above the relegation zone. Can you imagine? Ipswich go on a tear. Spurs continue to lose. Spurs relegate. In fact, this is my last question of the podcast, and I want both of your opinions. We'll go Josh and then we'll go Craig. Josh, would you like to see Spurs relegated?
100%. I mean, is that even a question? But I've got a question actually.
Okay.
You could put your question. Would you rather see Spurs relegated or Arsenal in the Premier League?
Oh, Arsenal win the Premier League. And there's a very specific reason for that. St Totteringham's Day is one of my favourite days of the year. And if they're relegated, where's St Totteringham's Day? Where's the North London Derby victories? I want to keep beating them in the Premier League. Don't get me wrong. I would laugh my knackers off if they got relegated. But, I just like beating them. I mean, St Totteringham's Day at the moment could be next week for all we know, like the way things are going. Yeah. What about you, Craig? Would you like to see them relegated, or would you rather have them in the league and keep beating them?
As in the league, I beat it because I know a lot of Tottenham fans and they're very arrogant fans, so I just love beating them just to lower the level a little bit, to know that they're little boys in the league. They're not big boys, so yeah.
They've got to get used to their new position. Anyway, I think that's it for today. Thank you all very much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow with a Tactics Tuesday and then a Wildcard Wednesday, and obviously crossover Thursday and a preview Friday. So thank you very much for listening. I've been your host, Josh Vince, today with Craig Matthews and Joshua Duncan. And until tomorrow, have a great day and goodbye.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.